Hi, I'm Stuart Harris from thestuartharris.com. I work with a lot of organisations, call centres, one-man operators who need to pick the phone up and have a conversation with customers or potential customers. Some of them are okay as far as getting the call structure is concerned, but one thing that they struggle with is their voice. Everybody's heard the phone call where somebody comes on the phone and they've got a really dull, monotonous voice, or they speak too quickly. I'm from Glasgow. We tend to speak very quickly. So when I'm speaking to non-Glaswegians, I tend to slow down a wee bit, just so that people can fully understand me, because it's my responsibility that they understand that conversation. A number of contact centres that I've worked with, they've actually said, okay, fine, if we had some sort of model, principle that we could use that would help people speak better and understand the different facets of their voice, that would help hugely. So today, on the Stuart Harris video, the patience principle. Hi, as I said, I talk to people a lot about how they can come across better, how they can sound better when they're on their phone, speaking to customers or potential customers. And I came up with a technique called the patience principle. And what the patience principle is, yes, we should have patience when we're talking to people on the phone, but patience is just an acronym to help people spell out what they should maybe consider when they're speaking to people on the phone. So the first letter, obviously, is the letter P. Can stand for pace. Pace or pitch. Let's talk about pace. First, pace is the speed that you speak at. So you can speak very, very quickly, and as I say, a lot of people from my end of town, from Glasgow, speak very, very quickly. A lot of people with regional accents, a lot of people offshore who are phoning into maybe the UK customers, speak too quickly, and it almost rolls into one word, and it's difficult for the listener to understand exactly what you're saying. So you need to be conscious that if people are asking you to repeat yourself, maybe think about your pace. Maybe just sort of slow it down a wee bit, take it up a wee bit. If you speak very slowly and very droll, maybe you need to almost sort of crank up the volume or crank up the pace, the speed of the way that you speak. Pitch, on the other hand, is thinking about, do you speak with a high-pitched voice or a low-pitched voice? If you think of two people probably diametrically opposed in every way, you've got Mickey Mouse who speaks with a very high-pitched voice, and if you listen to that for too long, it gets a bit frustrating, a bit annoying, but it doesn't really demonstrate worldliness. It doesn't really have a really commanding power in your voice. Right at the other end, let me throw another one in. Margaret Thatcher. Not very similar to Mickey Mouse in many ways, but she had to get elocution lessons to change her voice. If you ever watch any early videos of Margaret Thatcher, she tends to talk at a normal pitch. But what she actually did, she changed the pitch to lower her voice so it sounded more commanding. And you think of the environment that she worked in, politicians in the, 70s, 80s I think it would be. She spoke in a much, much lower voice, lower resonance, so that she could actually come across as authoritative. When she talked about my grandmother or our grandchildren or whatever there was that she came up with, her voice was very low, it sounded very serious. How can you use that in conversation? Maybe a slightly higher pitch when you want to sound enthusiastic. That sounds great. Maybe a bit lower when you want to be authoritative. This is something I need you to do. What I need you to do now is, and it's got a bit more command than maybe a high-pitched voice. So that's pace and pitch. You get two for the price of one there. Another one. Articulation. You think about what an articulated truck is. An articulated truck is the front part of the lorry which has got the engine, the driving cabin, and the main controls. It then connects to a separate part of a lorry or a truck or whatever it is. I'm not a great car person. But that part of the lorry is actually articulated, it's separated, but joins up and connects with the first part. And that's the same in the spoken word, articulation in the spoken word, making sure every word has its space and doesn't roll into everything else. If you do that, it just sounds as if you're mumbling. You're saying everything coming along the same word, and it's very difficult to decipher. It's difficult for your customers to hear. Why should they listen to you? Why not make it as easy as possible for them to be fully engaged with what you're talking about? So think about your articulation, how clearly you are saying your words, making sure each word has its own space. Next piece, tone. Now, there's a number of ways you can look at tone. Think about tone as the tone of your voice. He's got an aggressive tone, he's got a cheery tone. That's all well and good, but think about the tone of your voice as well. If you didn't vary your voice, if you think about my voice just now, there's bits and sentences where I'll go up when I'm saying, and there's also bits where I'll drop down when I'm actually speaking to people. And that's just basically the flow. Think about a sound wave, and that's how your voice should come across. If you didn't, it would be monotonous, single tone. Really what you want to have a varied tone in your voice. So this sounds engaging, it sounds refreshing, and sounds totally engaging and listenable to your customers. So think about your tone. Does your tone vary? If you're not sure, the next time you're on the phone, stick your phone in voice record, listen to yourself if you can. Definitely worthwhile listening out for some things you do well, great. Some things you can do better, just consider it. Next piece. Think about inflection. Where does your voice go? Does it go up maybe at the end of a sentence or down at the end of a sentence? If it goes up at the end of a sentence, think about Australian people with their accent. They tend to go up at the end. And that's not necessarily a question, it's just the way that they talk. If you do go up at the end, taking the words out of this and just think about the sound of that a statement, it sounds like a question. So if you're asking a question, make sure you're varying your tone at the end so there is an upward inflection at the end of your voice. If it goes down, that's also got a message as well. That tends to come across as da 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 da. I want you to go and tidy your room right now. I want you to do this right away. Mr. Customer, this is really important. I need you to do this now. That downward inflection, you're almost putting an exclamation mark on the end of it. You're making a statement. It's quite powerful when you're thinking about that as well. So that's inflection. Emphasis is the next one. Think about where you're emphasising certain words or certain phrases in your conversation. Because the thing is, this is really important. You may have noticed the emphasis on this is really important. That's basically, in the spoken word, that's you putting it in bold. Mr. Customer, this is the really important part just now. Have you got a pen? You see where I'm going there? Emphasis on certain words or certain phrases, and we need to get that in by the 1st of the month. Think about your emphasis. Are there particular words? Maybe if I'm not a fan of scripts, and you'll see some other videos from me on about scripts, but what I'd like you to think about is, if you were writing a script, this is the bit that you would put in bold, or you would highlight it. This is the really important bit. You're emphasising something very particular. So you get emphasis. The next bit is being natural. A lot of people have a phone voice. My mum used to have a phone voice. She wasn't quite Hyacinth Bouquet when she went on the phone. But if she spoke to somebody that she really respected and she wanted them to respect her, she would speak a bit more posh. That was 30 odd years ago. I think nowadays, because of, you think about the news, you've got a lot more regionalised accents coming out and on the news and on the television nowadays. Two biggest TV stars in the UK, Ant and Dec, they've got a very regional accent. If they put on a different voice and try to sound something very different, it wouldn't come across naturally. And really what you want to do is sounding as natural as you can. Be aware of the different facets that affect your voice, but just think about how natural you are when you come across on that phone. So think being natural. Next one. Clarity. We already talk about how clear you are and your articulation, but what I want you to think about is that the clarity of your message. Does it make sense? Is it full of gobbledygook? Is it full of jargon? Now, a lot of people say you should never use jargon. I disagree with that, actually. I do a lot of work with contact centres, and if I was to talk to people in stuff that they understand, but use the full-blown expression, using expressions like average handling time rather than AHT. What's the team's average handling time, and what was his average handling time? What was her average handling time? It just doesn't sound right. But if they're used to that jargon, use the words that they would use the language that they use. So just be clear, and be clear in your message. Be specific about what you're actually looking for. So think about the clarity in the message you're actually delivering as well. This is probably more about the words you're actually using rather than the tone of your voice or the emphasis in certain words, the music of your voice. This is probably actually the song sheet. This is the words that you're actually talking about. Last one is energy. Making sure you get energy in your voice when you speak to people. Have a passion. A lot of times, I'll often walk into a contact centre, and if they do sales or customer service, I can often tell who the most successful people are just by looking across. Because if I look across an operational floor, I often see people standing up. They've maybe got their headsets on, they're maybe only so far they can walk from their desk, but they're up and about and they're using their hand gestures, and there's an energy in their voice. They're standing up, they're getting air into their lungs, they're getting oxygen into their brain. They can think quicker. Whole expression, thinking in your feet. Maybe that's got something to do with the amount of oxygen, and you can think quicker. It certainly sounds a lot more engaging. Think about somebody sitting on the phone. Hello, today we're going to talk to you about such and such, as opposed to somebody standing up. You've got your full lung capacity rather than just your crunched up capacity. So think about how the effect that standing up can have. A lot of people don't like it. I think it works. That's why I'm standing up just now, not sitting down. There will be some videos that will sit down, but for this one particular, I want to stand up. So think about the energy in your voice. So, I started off talking about people having patience when they're on the phone. So think about when you're on the phone, are you having patience? Are you thinking about your pace or your pitch, your articulation, your tone? Inflection, emphasis, natural, clarity, energy, patience. Are you using that every time you're on the phone to somebody? Particularly if it's a customer. Whether you're trying to win the customer, or you're trying to develop the relationship with the customer, or trying to keep the customer. Think about your tone of voice. If you're not too sure how it works and you go, right, okay, that's all right, you can do it, you're turning it on. Just think of your voice as a graphic equaliser. Now, for people of my age who remember the old stereos and you to turn the bass up and the treble down and the various knobs, or it was a sliding control was the big thing when I was a teenager. That was the big thing. But even if you look on something like iTunes now, when you got to the top, you can look at, I think it says equaliser, and if you look at equaliser, it's got slides depending on the different things that you're controlling, the frequencies. Just think of your voice as a graphic equaliser. Maybe you need to turn the pace up a wee bit. Maybe you need to sort of control your energy, because maybe at certain times you might be dealing with somebody who can't pay their bill. So they don't want to hear, hi, fantastic, how are you? Great, you're having a brilliant day today. They want to hear somebody with a controlled, measured voice, Think about the pitch. The pitch comes down as far as that's concerned as well. There's maybe some emphasis on rules, regulations, terms and conditions, when payment needs to be made. Think about the control that you have. Are you a slidey guy, turning the volumes up or the pace up or down? Are you turning it analog wise? Is that a proper word? But you get a dial. Think about what can you do with your voice. Listen to your voice. The next time, as I said, you're on a call to somebody, record yourself. I'll attach a document to the bottom of this and just scale it too fast, too slow, too high, too low, not clear enough, very clear, whatever it might well be. I'll add that, print it off and just score yourself. Or if you're a manager and you need to score somebody about their voice quality, feel free to use that document I'm going to add to the bottom of this video. Hopefully that works out well for you. Drop me a line if you know people that are working in a similar industry to you, where they need to pick the phone up and speak to customers. Please share this video. Stick the video on, please share it in your profile as well. Really do appreciate it. Give me a big thumbs up as well. Always like the thumbs up, they're always nice. So feel free to share. If you get any questions, go onto my website at thestuartharris.com, thestuartharris.com, or drop me an email to stuart@thestuartharris.com. If you get any questions regarding sales and customer service, particularly if you're on the phone. Have a great time. Hope you listen to it. And stay here in Glasgow. All the best, all the time. Cheers.